Welcome to the conversation you never knew you needed. No filters, no masks, just real talk and honest insight.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're really zeroing in on the 8-point facelift. We've got a deep dive on a clinic's website and then a really interesting comment from a Dr. Hack, a cosmetic doctor, that's got me thinking.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Lay it on us.
So the clinic's website, it really breaks down this 8-point facelift, and it seems like their whole thing is tackling those, like telltale signs of aging, that kind of sagging, that little bit of hollowness. They're all about achieving a natural refresh, not a total transformation, just restoring what's been lost.
And that's key, right? Because we're talking about volume loss as we age. That's the natural progression, collagen, elastin, all that good stuff starts to decline. The 8-point facelift seems to be all about replenishing those depleted resources, almost like hitting pause on the clock, maybe even rewinding it a smidge.
A subtle rewind, I like that. And it seems very strategic, too. The clinic emphasizes this is for a specific age range, late 30s, early 40s, like when you're seeing those first signs of laxity, nothing too drastic.
All right, it's not a complete reset button, more like a refresh for that stage of life.
And here's where I thought it got really interesting. They actually list out the 8 points. Some are expected cheeks, jawline, but then they get into things like downturned smile, which, come on, who hasn't looked in the mirror and been like, is my smile aging me?
Oh, 100%. I mean, that downturned smile is such a perfect example of how volume loss, even if it's subtle, can really change your whole face. As we lose volume, especially in the cheeks and around the mouth, the corners of our mouths can start to droop a little. But what's so fascinating is how addressing these seemingly small things can make someone look so much more refreshed, more approachable. And it's not just about lifting the corners of the mouth. It's about understanding how all the different parts of the face work together, even the subtle stuff.
Totally. Like, what about those nose-to-mouth lines? I feel like those are a dead giveaway,
Absolutely. And the clinic talks about addressing those too. By carefully injecting filler in those lines, you can smooth out that transition between the nose and the mouth.
So it's not just filling, it's like reshaping.
Exactly. It's about restoring that youthful contour, that natural fullness we lose as we age.
Okay, so we're getting a really clear picture here of the what's and the how from this clinic. But I got to bring us back to Dr. Hack's comment because, man, he throws a wrench in the works.
Oh, yeah, he definitely brings up a good point.
He basically says, and I'm quoting here, 8 points is just a marketing term. And okay, maybe, but it made me think.
Well, I see where he's coming from.
Right.
It's important to remember that everyone's face is unique.
For sure.
So while this 8-point lift can be a good starting point, you can't just treat every face the same way and expect the same results.
But it's like those cookie cutter approaches never really work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I find his term Hyaluronic Acid Makeover so interesting.
Right.
It shifts the focus away from these arbitrary points and puts it right back on what your face specifically needs.
A more custom approach, which is kind of what we're all looking for, right?
Right. It's about addressing your individual concerns, not just chasing after some magic number of injection points.
Totally. And this actually leads into another distinction that Dr. Hick makes that I found really interesting, the difference between anti-aging, which we've been talking about, restoring what's been lost, and then contouring, which feels a bit more like, I don't know, maybe even exaggerating in some cases.
That is such a key distinction, and it speaks to the artistry of a skilled practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
With anti-aging, the goal is to refresh and rejuvenate. Ideally, no one should be able to tell that you've had anything done.
They should be like, wow, you look well rested.
Exactly. It should look natural, like the best version of you.
Yeah.
Not like you're trying to be someone else or look like you're frozen in time.
Right, just a little pick-me-up. So with all this in mind, with the 8-point lift, Dr. Hack's comments, what would you say to someone who's considering this procedure or any kind of cosmetic thing, really? What's the most important takeaway?
I think the biggest thing is to really understand your own goals. What are you hoping to achieve? Are you looking for subtle rejuvenation or a more dramatic transformation? Once you have a clear picture of what you want, then you can find a practitioner who understands your vision and who prioritizes a personalized approach.
Because at the end of the day, our faces aren't just a collection of points on a diagram.
Absolutely not.
It's like we're not trying to build a whole new face here, right? We're just trying to enhance what's already there.
Exactly. And that's where a skilled practitioner really shines. They understand that it's not just about injecting filler here or there. It's about understanding facial anatomy, how we age, and those subtle differences that make each of us unique.
So it's more like artistry than just like a procedure.
It really is. And, speaking of artistry, I was reading something that Dr. Hack said about using these types of treatments preventatively, and it really got me thinking.
Oh, interesting. Preventatively, like before you even feel like you need it.
Exactly. Like, instead of waiting for significant volume loss, you start addressing it early on with small strategic injections. The idea is that you might actually slow down the aging process that way.
So it's less about fixing and more about maintaining, in a way.
Exactly. It's like you don't wait for your house to fall apart before you do a little maintenance, right?
Yeah.
So why should our faces be any different?
Right. But I imagine you really have to be careful with that kind of approach, finding the right practitioner who's not going to, overdo it.
Absolutely. It goes back to what we've been saying. Personalized approach. Finding someone who understands your goals and is on the same page as you.
Totally. So for anyone listening who's maybe intrigued by the 8-point facelift or even just starting to think about cosmetic procedures, what's the one thing you want them to take away from all of this?
I think the biggest thing is to do your research. Talk to multiple practitioners, ask questions, be your own advocate, make sure you understand what you're getting into and that you're comfortable with the approach.
Love that. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to something as important as, our faces.
Absolutely.
This has been so insightful. Thank you so much for taking the time to break all of this down with us.
My pleasure. Always happy to chat about this stuff.
And for everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you learned something new and feel empowered to make the best decisions for your own aesthetic journey. Until next time, stay curious.